Okay, well, joining me now is Sarah Burrows. She's the director of the charity Children Seen and Heard. Sarah, thank you so much for talking to us. How many of these children do you see coming to your charity for help?
We see quite a large number of children coming for support and families coming for support. But what I really want to say, first of all, is going back to your report, is we don't know how many children have a parent in prison. Crest in 2019 estimated 312,000, and prior to that, Bernardo's estimated of 200,000. So I think it's thousands of children that aren't being picked up and supported. They are quite an invisible group. And families that come to us have been seeking support for years. There is such little out there for families, and the trauma and the experience that they have, that because of the shame and stigma, they've hidden away, and children really are suffering.
It does sound like a very multi-layered problem when it comes specifically to the children of sex offenders, because you have the initial shock of the arrest and then the shock of what they've been charged with.
Yeah, well, you have the arrests that can be very traumatic for children, particularly if they're there and witnessing the arrest, particularly if it happens at night, as well for children waking up seeing that their father taken away in handcuffs, and obviously the trauma of that, and then the trial. And for children and their families, over 90% of the children that we've supported, their parents' offence has been in the paper, and the address has been in the paper. So not the number of the house, but the road of the house. For the person in prison, they're in custody. But for those families that we have had children witnessing vigilantes breaking in, they have experienced concrete blocks coming through the window, feces through the door. They have been assaulted through nothing that they have done wrong themselves. They are so stigmatised and marginalised as a group. It is quite horrendous.
Why is there no government support? I mean, Katerina spelt it out legally for us in that report, but why aren't the government supporting them more? They must know what's going on.
I think children slipping through the net. The manager from NEPAC said about not knowing who the children were. We have had children that have come to our attention. Last year, in 1 month alone, we had lots of children who were living on their own. There was no parent, no adult in the house. They were getting up, going to school, pretending that everything was okay, no gas, no electricity, and no one knew. And, we're in 2023, and we don't know who the children and families are. But they are just a really isolated, abandoned group of children.
So, Sarah, what needs to happen?
I think definitely there needs to be a mechanism to identify children with a parent in prison, and also that includes children whose fathers have committed sexual offences. Thames Valley Violence Reduction Unit has started to pilot with us in terms of trying to having the data to actually then do a knock at the door and say, would you like support? But that's very, very small. There's thousands and thousands of children in this country that aren't being supported. And I think the children do need support. They need access to real support to process the trauma that they've gone through. So long term, it doesn't have an impact. But having witnessed so much trauma when they're a child, and their mother, their hopes, dreams and everything, but that's changed for them. They're dealing with their own grief and loss. And the child might still, want to see the parent, love the parent, but actually can't talk about it. They can't talk about it to their peers. As you heard in the report, one of the children was talking about being in a WhatsApp group, and if my father had done that, I would kill themselves. I mean, that's very frequent for children. They have to move away, change addresses. We've had a number of children changing their names as well. There needs to be more support services out there for children whose parents have committed offences like this.
OK. Sarah, thank you so much for talking to us tonight.
Thank you.
You're watching Sky News Tonight. Coming up, all the sport, including Frank Lampard.